for all the Masonic temples from the District of Columbia down to Florida. So every single Masonic temple in the southern part of the United States writes to this temple to get its charter started. The one for the north is in Philadelphia. So every state north of Philadelphia, including Maryland, have to write to that temple in order to get their charter to get started. This is the step pyramid that we saw from Meridian Hill Park. It sits right on top of that Masonic temple. And again, I mean, this Masonic temple is exactly 13 blocks, and we know that 1 plus 3 is 4 as a foundation. And it's also 13 blocks north of the White House. So it situates itself right in the middle between the two Scottish Rite temples, right in either way. So it's interesting. In front of the Scottish Rite temples, you see that there's two Sphinx, and this is a close-up of those Sphinx. The Sphinx is what with the man face and the body of a lion. We call them Sphinx because they have European features. The name of the Sphinx from Kemet is Himhara-Ket. But we call them Sphinx in essence because they have the European features. One Sphinx has the eyes closed, the other one has the eyes open. One is symbolic of power, the other one is symbolic of wisdom. This one has the cobra underneath, which is also symbolic. I'm sorry.
How can you have a white person feature?
Well, you can see from the nose and the lips.
But it's supposed to be African.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, but they use the Greek one.
Okay, the Greek
ones,
put their own thing in
Yeah, but if you go to Kemet now, it has African features, except the nose being knocked off. If you go to physically to Kemet, you see that stone is there. It has that more African features. The lips are a little wider, a little fuller. The nose was wider before Napoleon shot it the second time. First time, that was the second time. When Napoleon shot it the second time, he actually knocked the nose off. So if you go to Kemet now, you see pictures of it, you'll see more. Google it, and you'll see the difference between this photo and the one that's actually in Kemet. There's a big difference. But this one has a Kemetic deity underneath her chin. This female has a goddess Mayat. This is the goddess Mayat. The goddess Mayat is a deity in Kemet that deals with the balance of justice. Every initiate that enters the temples in Kemet, they have to state a few verses saying that I have not committed adultery, that I have not stolen from my uncle, that I have not stolen from my neighbors. Certain things that they call them the 42 confessions of Maya. So that's what the 42 confessions of Maya from. Later, those 42 confessions were borrowed when the Hebrews were in the Kemet. They took it in part of the 10 Commandments.
Right.
In the 10 Commandments, there's within the whole Torah, specifically Leviticus and Deuteronomy is the largest amount of laws. That's what all the laws are in the Old Testament. There's a total of 1,613 laws, and a lot of those laws came from the confessions of Maya that each initiate has to go through. Moses knew about them, and he taught those initiates. That's how we also know that Moses went through the school, the mission schools, because he was trying to teach those commandments. Thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do that, because he borrowed them from what he was learning in the mission schools. He was trying to build a nation, so he taught it to the Hebrews when he was taking them out of Kemet. Historically speaking, there's a lot of holes in our story. There's a lot of other stuff. So I'm only speaking to it from what we already understand about the whole story about the Hebrews and who he really took out. That's really, once you dissect it, you start realizing they weren't Hebrews, they were somebody else.
Now, speaking of Napoleon, his wife was mulatto, right?
His wife was mulatto.
And she was from the West Indies.
His wife was more mulatto. His wife, they said, apparently he liked black women. From what they said, he wasn't that was the only woman that he was involved with. There was other women that he was involved with that would that was his fetish, if you will.
Now, what artifact piece that his wife asked for to bring back, and is in which museum? It's in the museum.
It's in the French museum. I forgot what it was.
In Paris? No, not.
It's in Paris.
It's in Paris.
But I forgot what it was. It's like in a jar, but I forgot what they called it.
It was a statue of. I can't remember. I thought it was like.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. I just don't remember the name of that particular statue. So, but yeah, he was a very interesting person when you start reading about it. These two last plaques, this one and that one over there, these are on the Library of Congress. Just like in Kemet, they had their library where they house all the information in Kemet. When they built the District of Columbia, they wanted to have the same type of library system. They wanted to have a way where they can design and set up all their information, all their knowledge onto one house. They started off with one building called the Jefferson Building. The Jefferson Building got to the point where it couldn't support all the information of the CDs, all copyrights, all CDs, all DVDs now, anything that you can find as copywritten, there's a copy of them in the Library of Congress, at least one, that you can get your hands on as far back as whenever you want to. So if you find something that's out of copyright that you need to get information on, you can write to the Library of Congress. They should have a copy of it. They can send you, if they can, they'll send you a photo image of it, and you can get a copy of that, of any of that. So they start off with a Jefferson, and then when the Jefferson got full, they built the Adams Building, which is, this is the doorway to the Adams Building. And once the Adams Building got full, they built another building called the Madison. They're all near each other around 2nd Street and Pennsylvania Avenue. They're all near there. Our tour used to end there, but after September 11th, they blocked that road where tour buses couldn't come up near the Capitol building. They could only go so far. So what Tony did, he went out there and he took a picture of this and he enlarged the image of the doorway itself. And these are actual doors that are in existence today at the Adams Building. So if you get to the Adams Building, you'll see that in the Adams Building, they actually have a doorway where they tell the same story that we just finished telling you today, that all the information came out of Kemet. The way you read the door, it starts here. If you're looking at the Adams Building, this is the door on the east, this is the door on the west. It starts, and apparently everything that deals with the eastern hemisphere is on the eastern door. Everything that's dealing with Kemet is on the eastern door, everything that's dealing with the western hemisphere, America and Europe, is on the western door. So this, I'm not going to go through every single one, but if you can spend as much time you want up here, you can go through these smaller plaques, and it tells you what all these numbers are. But you can clearly see Kemet in this plaque. You can see Osiris sitting on his throne in this plaque. So you start seeing, it's talking about information developing in Kemet first. They bear witness to that was coming in Kemet, and it worked its way out of Kemet, worked its way into Mesopotamia, worked its way into Rome, into Greece. You see Romulus and Remus sucking on the she-wolf. That's how Rome was named after Romulus and Remus. Two twins that were abandoned. They grew up on the woods by a she-wolf that was feeding them. Romulus killed Remus, and Rome was named after Romulus. So that's the story of Romulus and Remus. So you start seeing the information leaving Kemet, going into Mesopotamia, the present-day Iraq, Iran, going out of Mesopotamia, going to lower Europe, present-day Italy, Rome, Greece, those places. So it's working its way out now, Kemet, going into lower Europe. Now it's going its way up to upper Europe. These are all symbols of upper Europe. You got Scotland, you got Britain, Spain, with the Moors being in Spain, France, with the Paris Colosseum here. In France. So now the information has worked its way from Kemet, went into Mesopotamia, went into lower Europe, which is Italy and Greece. It's working its way. The information now is working into the hands of upper Europe, France, Germany.
Crusades.
You see the Crusades here, the Crusaders here. They took all that information during the whole war. All that information was being pushed in different directions throughout the corners of the earth. Quote-unquote corners of the earth. The information now was in Europe. Once the spice trade started happening, the information started leaving out of Europe, present-day Britain, and Scotland, France, Sweden, all those places that are considered upper Europe, is now sailing, is going over to the Western Hemisphere. You start seeing all these plaques are dealing with everything in the United States. The train system being here in the United States with Carnegie, the symbol of the United States, the Federal Reserve symbol in the United States, the Industrial Revolution, Aztecs, and Native Americans are this. Basically, these plaques or these doors on the Adams Building, they're telling you in living color that they bear witness that where all the information came from. Remember, the Library of Congress is supposed to be buildings that house information. So they're dedicating their mission to knowledge, they're dedicating their mission to information and being a repository of information. So they're tracing their history back. They're telling you where all information came from. So in loud and living color, they're telling you, they bear witness that the information came from Kemet. So that's why it's the very first stone that deals with that. And if you don't believe that, the Jefferson Building, which was the very first building that was built by the Library of Congress, when they built them, they telling you a story here too on this building where they signify where all the information comes from. They say the information came from the east and it's settled in the west. And if you tie everything that we learned in the field trip today, you'll be able to decipher this between the numbers. If you go to the Jefferson Building, a Jefferson Building is designed into a square and a dome. Usually in architecture, when you have a building that's a square and a dome sits on top of it, the architecture was trying to signify heaven coming down to earth. Inside, underneath this dome area right here, there's a dome. This is the actual building itself. You see the dome, This is the Adams Building where you sit, where the doors came from. You see the doors are along this way. That's in the Adams Building. The Madison Building is the last one they built. Is across the street from the Adams Building. The Jefferson Building is right across the street from the Capitol. The Capitol is here, and the Adams Building and the Jefferson Building is there. The dome, and underneath the dome is a reading room. That's when you go inside, like what I was saying before. You can go in there and check out a book. You can't take it with you because it's only have one copy sometimes, but you can sit there and make copies of it, and you can read it. Anything that's out of print, and you read it in the main reading room. So when the architecture designed this, he wanted you to sit in the reading room, and you'd be sitting underneath the dome, lights coming in, and bringing heaven down to earth. That's why he designed it that way. On the outsides of the building, all along on the outside of the perimeter of the building, on this lower level, you can barely see it here. You see little statues of heads along the building itself. These are these heads right here. Around every single corner of the building, there's 3 heads. And every single corner. On the west side, the side that's facing the Capitol, there's 4 heads with European features. On the east side, where the sun rises every morning, on the east side of the building, there's 5 heads that actually have African features. So we learned from masonry when we went to the Scottish Rite Temple. They tell you in the Scottish Rite Temple that from the east comes the knowledge or the light, and from the west comes the law. So they saying that from the European who has the laws, is these European blonde-headed individuals who face the Capitol where laws are written. And on the east side is where the light comes from, where the knowledge comes from. They bear witness that from the east side, these are African-featured men, remember men, we're talking about man and woman here, we're talking about the family, the collective. They bear witness that the knowledge has come from African men and women. And now to even take it even deeper, if you get into the number system, they have 5 men here and 4. 4 we know is representative of the foundation, because it's the foundation that we're basing our existence on today. If someone asks you, what are you? A lot of people say, I'm American. I mean, that's your foundation. That's all you know. A lot of people don't know too much outside of America. That's the foundation that we've been given. It's the foundation that we've been dealing with. 5 represents man. 5 represents man or mind. So in essence, what they're telling you with this picture, they're telling you that not only does the knowledge come from Africa, they signify that the original man and woman are African men. They're black men. They bear witness to that. They recognize that these individuals, man and woman, are the original men and women, and they are the mothers and fathers of civilization, and everybody else comes from them. And that's where all the knowledge, all the information comes from. They bear witness to that. And even to take it even further, that's why they put three on each corner. And 3 is symbolic of the child. So whose children are they saying that these individuals are, if this is the man that they're talking about, it's basically saying that these children are of us. These are our offsprings, that the original man and woman are black men and black women. So that's what this whole building, in a sense, it has a lot of messages. It ties back to the masonry, it ties back to the number system, the 5, the 3, and the 4, and it tells you where from the east comes the light, what that really means, and he's talking about black men and black women.
So you said again that these 3 represents the child.
The children, right?
The children on each.
The children that comes from man and woman. So these are our children. That's what they're saying. So they bearing witness that the original inhabitants of the planet Earth were black men or black women. We were first, and everything comes from, all the knowledge comes from us. They're bearing witness to that, and they signify that not just in this temple, not in this temple, but in their library, this library. They mentioned it in Adams Building, they got it etched in stone. They got it in the Scottish Rite temples all over there. Those are only one Scottish Rite temple. Even if you go to the one in Alexandria, Washington's Masonic temple right there in Alexandria, it has the same type of information.
So
saying that everything it comes from you and I.
So basically, you're saying that in the higher ups of the European hierarchy, they know this and accept this and operate from this premise.
They operate from this premise. They educate their higher ups in that premise. Like I say, if you start talking to Masons and higher up in the Masonic order, they know that all the knowledge comes from Kemet. They don't deny that.
So why is it if I go home and try to tell this to my mom and dad, why can they not accept this?
A lot of it is psychological, because we've been programmed to think that black is not beautiful. It's a lot of it, what they call whitewashed. Another way, they whitewash this system. Because, and somebody asked the same question yesterday in the same field trip. They need us. They need to get information from us. They need us to be in existence, but they can't control us if we know the stuff. It's easier for me to control someone who doesn't have the knowledge of themselves. I can tell you that the sky is green and you'll believe it. I can tell you the sky is red. As long as you don't have knowledge of self, I have pretty good control of yourself, or control of you. But if once you start realizing how to govern yourself, how to police yourself,
And that you have the ability
that you have
to
the
do it.
ability to do it, you have to know how to do it. And even if you come up to something that you think is a roadblock, you still have the ability to get past that roadblock. I can't control you. So it's more of a brainwashing, whitewashing type of thing where they tell you they do one thing, but they know where the information comes from. And you ask a lot of scholars, not even just ones in the Masonic order, those who've been studied, those who've been to Africa, those who got their PhD, those who've been learned, they'll tell you, they won't deny the fact that life started, everything germinated out of Africa, and the very first human beings on the planet Earth were Africans.
I have just a quick question. I read this